Classwork 6-5 number 18 says the following polynomial has a 0 at 9 plus the square root of 3. Factor the polynomial into two quadratic factors with integer coefficients. The first thing we need to do is identify the first quadratic factor. In order to do this, we can use 9 plus the square root of 3 and 9 minus the square root of 3. We know that if one of the factors, or one of the zeros rather, is at 9 plus the square root of 3, another 0 must be at 9 minus the square root of 3. Using completing the square but doing it backwards, we have x equals 9 plus or minus the square root of 3. We subtract 9 from each side. We get x minus 9 equals plus or minus the square root of 3. We then square each side to get x minus 9 squared equals plus or minus the square root of 3 squared, which is x squared minus 18x plus 81 equals 3. We need it set to 0 for it to be a factor, so we subtract 3 from each side, giving us x squared minus 18x plus 78. So we know that one of our factors is x squared minus 18x plus 78. That's our first quadratic factor. Now we're going to use this factor and divide it into the original polynomial to find the other factor. So we're going to take our x squared minus 18x plus 78 and divide it into our x to the fourth minus 20x cubed plus 112x squared minus 120x minus 156. X squared goes into x to the fourth, x squared times x squared is x to the fourth, x squared times negative 18x is negative 20x cubed, and x squared times 78 is 78x squared. When we subtract all of these terms from the ones above, we have x to the fourth minus x to the fourth is 0. 20x cubed minus a negative 18x cubed is like saying negative 20 plus 18. So that's a negative 2x cubed. And 112 minus 78 gives us 34x squared. We then bring down the negative 120x and divide again. X squared goes into negative 2x cubed, negative 2x times. Multiplying negative 2x by x squared gives us negative 2x cubed. Negative 2x times negative 18x gives us positive 36x squared. And negative 2x times 78 gives us negative 156x. Again, we subtract these terms from the ones above, which leaves us with negative 2x squared, positive 36x, and we bring down the negative 156. The final step is to divide x squared into negative 2x squared, which is negative 2, and multiply negative 2 by each of these terms, which gives us negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times negative 18 is positive 36x, and negative 2 times 78 is negative 156. Notice that these all are exactly the same, so we get a remainder of 0. So our other quadratic factor is x squared minus 2x minus 2. Putting that together, our two factors are x squared minus 18x plus 78 and x squared minus 2x minus 2.